and welcome to another fabulous episode of Inner Business. On my mission today to prove that spirituality and business are the perfect blend, I am joined today by the beautiful Camille Miller. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
I am too. Now, if you haven't met or bumped into Camille, you need to know that she is the creator of the absolutely fabulous Soul Professional Business School. Yes, you heard it right. The Soul Professional Business School. And she is here to share with us today a conversation about the role of soul in business. Oh, I'm getting shivers already and I cannot wait because Camille has so much amazing experience and is definitely proof that that balance between intuition and strategy is 105,000% the key to success in this entrepreneur world. So Camille, to get started, I'd love to ask you whether you could take us back to the moment that you realized that very business strategy kind of hustle, some might say masculine only kind of energy in business just wasn't cutting the mustard. What was that moment for you?
Well, I have to bring you back to the beginning when I started the company about 10 years ago. I was a CEO for a not-for-profit, and it was an agricultural not-for-profit where I worked on our organic label, but it was in that role that I brought like two of my selves together. Like I was one person in the professional world and I was this whole other person when I got home. Right? Like I'd take off my business suit and I'd put on my tie-dye and I ate organically and I did alternative medicine. But in the professional world, I had this very masculine identity, which I think a lot of people that, especially me who grew up in the 80s, that's how we did it. That's how we saw success. So
Yeah.
that role really made me blend my two personalities together because I was in organic agriculture. I was around people that were also blending themselves. And I saw doctors and scientists and CPAs and lawyers and like all of these in there, a lot of Wall Street people that were someone else in the professional world and then were also the organic hippie that I was. So it made me see that, oh my gosh, it's a lot of people. So when my job was defunded in 2015, I kind of found myself deciding like, what is next in my life? And I knew that money was no longer my motivator. I really wanted to create impact. And part of my position was to help organic farmers create their businesses and understand the differentiators with doing organic and how to do their pricing and, you know, how to market their specialty crop. So that easily went into the next chapter of my life because when I was kind of figuring out, okay, what do I do next? I would go to like the Chamber of Commerce's and networking, and I felt like it was very masculine energy and salesy. And now I feel like it's 10 years later and the world has caught up. I've gone through a lot over the 10 years, but now I think people are looking for that authenticity. They're looking for purpose. Their drive is much different now. And so I feel like that's the world caught up with me in a good way. But
Yeah.
I was there 10 years ago going, it doesn't have to be this way. There is an alternative way to be an entrepreneur and even be in business and even in the corporate world now, right? It's more soul-led. It's more nurturing.
Yes.
It's more cooperative energy.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. And I wish I'd met you when I was building Edufolios because I could have done with listening to all of this because I was busy trying to be that person at the chamber being all like, yes, I can help
We
you
all
and
were,
I'll buy that
yeah.
thing for it. We all were, right? Isn't it
Yeah.
funny? And I met lots of people, women and men in that space. You know, you're trying to fit in almost. It's a big lesson. You
Thank
talk
you.
a lot about the soul professional, the soul in business. This whole episode is about the role of soul, which we love the sound of in business. What would you say the word soulful means to you when it comes to entrepreneurship and business?
To me, soul is the opposite of ego. We talk a lot about the masculine energy and the feminine energy, and that is not gender specific. It's that we both hold both energies. It's like, where are we
Absolutely.
dominated? For most of my life, I was in masculine energy, right? And now I'm learning it's more about the feminine energy. But the soul is the opposite of ego. It's the we, not the me. It's working in collaboration, not competition. It's the nurturing. It's the helping of others. When I say we lead with soul, it's caring about your employees. It's asking what they need. It's asking even what they want to do. It's meeting them where they are. Soul is about purpose. Like I say, purpose beyond profit. I have a purpose. I do want to make profit, but I really want to make an impact in the world. I want a ripple effect is how I see the world. It's helping and serving as many people as possible. That's what's soul led. It's coming from my heart.
Yeah, heart-centered is kind of another way I use that term, heart-centered business. Yeah, and you're right. And a lot of those words, collaboration, nurturing, that's all very feminine energy, isn't it? What I find really interesting is when you have those business owners who go so far to the feminine that they lose that masculine, like having to get stuff done and the structures and the systems. Did you fall into that trap ever in your journey as well? Did you go from one to the other and kind of have an equilibrium moment where you went, here?
So I have never fallen too much into the feminine. So I am still practicing every day to stay in receiving mode. That's another thing. Being in soulful is being in receiving mode. It's also the law of attraction. You attract who you are. And that is what I teach, and it is what I feel. I do come across a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, I'm not supposed to know the how. I just need to be here and want it and think about it and manifest it. I was like, no one's knocking on your door, though. You have to have inspired action. So to create business actually you need both energies. You need the system, you need the sales, you need the ego in a way of that masculine energy to create business and the organization and even finance, right? Paying your bills and doing all of that. That's all masculine energy.
You need a container to hold it, right? And that's what the masculine is for. It creates those boundaries. It creates the container. And without that, you can manifest all you like, but it's got nowhere to land, right? So...
And I can be more in my feminine and my receiving mode when I stop doing. So I'm consciously stop doing. And I just want to be in that place of fun and playfulness and pleasure for the next 2 months.
Yeah, and just feel grateful and get that gratitude and just mirror that back and say, more, please. Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned your movement. We've already talked about, the business school as well. What is this soul professional movement all about? Beyond the name, we know what soul is for you in business now. What is the soul professional movement? By the way, I have signed the declaration, so I'm in this movement. Woo-hoo! Tell everyone about it.
Thank you. So first, soul professional, I'll define first. A soul professional is someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. So if that resonates with your listeners, that is what a soul professional is. The movement is signing the pledge to say, this is who I am, and I'm pledging to be a good global citizen in the world. I'm part of this collaboration. I put my purpose before my profit, but we still want to create wealth. I just want to put that out there because you have to create wealth to make impact. But it's really for the creators of the world. It's the soul professionals or people that are leaving all of our corporate jobs. They're leaving the structured environments and creating something on their own with decades of wisdom. They've been doing whatever they're doing for most of their life, and now they're ready for more. Now they're ready to meet other people and meet around the world. So the movement right now, we're in 30 countries, and the movement itself is a global call for unification, for cooperation, for networking. And my hope is that there is an ecosystem that creates us, because it's the micro entrepreneurs, which is someone who makes less than 5 million, but most of us we're solo entrepreneurs that make less than 1 million. Mm-hmm. But we believe that business is rooted in purpose, in passion, in alignment, and that's going to be the next wave of success that we see across borders, across everywhere, because we're seeing people move all over. Since the pandemic, we don't need to be in an office and work for others. So there is this wave happening, creating businesses that uplift communities. They transform industries, they inspire change, they help repair the world. That's the big one. And the world, I feel like the world needed a professional organization that houses us, right? So the movement is about taking the pledge and being a part of this ecosystem, a part of the entrepreneurs of the future, where we're purpose-led, we're soul-led, because we don't really have leaders that are doing it. Like myself, we're moving up, we're starting to do it, but we don't have role models that have done it, right?
Yeah.
Conscious business is a big part of it. Giving back is a big part of it. But the soul professional could be someone in corporate too. But the soul professional is someone who leads with their heart, right? They're conscious. They care about the people who are around them.
Yeah, beautiful. They're nurturing, they're collaborating. And I think that's what I love about the actual pledge is kind of like that commitment to that way of being. And then you kind of run little events and networking opportunities that allow everybody to connect and not feel so alone. And like, the purpose of this interview and the interviews that I do on the podcast is to demonstrate that there's lots of us out here, like you can have permission to wear the tie-dye. If you could totally resonate with what Camille was talking about there, like the two sort of split personalities of like, when I get to work, I'm going to be this person. If you're doing that in your business, I guarantee you're missing some amazing, beautiful energies, some beautiful clients. There's a whole door you haven't yet opened,
Yeah, that's a big point, because when we're hiding a piece of ourselves, our clients can't find us because we're hiding. They can't find us. When we shine brighter and are more authentic, that's how people go, oh, wait, that's me over there. I just want more of you, like more of your energy. People buy into our energy. It's not our product. It's not our messaging. Like, they buy into our energy. Now, the messaging matters because they probably won't have a conversation with you, but that conversation is what's converting them. They're buying into your energy. They're just going, I want more of that. I want what you have.
Well, exactly. And if your messaging is not you, then they can't feel your energy. Your messaging needs to be you, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zen. And I guess that energy is really the key thing. Like if you go through life in anything in your life, masking or trying to be someone because you think you should, then no one is ever going to get to see what's truly in your heart. So you can't actually be a soul professional because you are kind of dishonoring your soul or who you are. That sounds very deep and very judgmental, but you are. You're kind of dishonoring yourself by trying to be what you think. You're kind of following those societal norms rather than your truth. In my human design, the more I try and pull people towards me, the more that will not work. Like you were saying, I have to act out of considered emotion. Like I'll feel like I need to say a thing, so I'll say it, and that always works. Whereas if I go, I need to post 25 times this month, and here's my, I can do all that work, but unless I have been in that emotional resonance, it won't do very well. So I hear what you're saying. It's the closer I can get to knowing myself personally and my purpose and my mission, the more I can focus on that, the more divine inspiration I will get, the more I will speak the truth that needs to be heard, the more my message will resonate. So I totally agree with you. So let's take it one step further. We've got the movement, which I encourage everyone to join. We'll put a link below this video and over on the show notes as well. Get that pledge signed, ladies and gentlemen. Just do it. But you also have the Soul Professional Business School. So tell everyone what the Soul Professional Business School is, where the inspiration came from it. Share that story because it's awesome.
So I've been a business trainer for decades and decades. And then I became a professor for MBA students. And it was in that role that I realized we're really not teaching entrepreneurs for the future, because most of us are in the service industry. In university, they usually teach product development, and they teach for 5 million and above, right? Okay. So there really is no education if you're in service, and that's any service, right? It's therapy, it's doctors, it's CPAs, it's lawyers, it's any service to others, and you could even go into like lawn service and tree service. Like there's so many people that are in service, right? No schooling around service whatsoever. So, and especially with global markets, which is really important right now. So I took that curriculum, the MBA curriculum, and I created a business accelerator where I teach each piece, and I work from concept. So a lot of people are coming out of corporate, or they've started a job, or they started a business, but it's not really working out for them, or they're not consistent. So we take that, we blend in your uniqueness, and we build it out over 14 weeks, teaching you each aspect of business along the way, right? From your mission statement, your vision statement, your unique value proposition, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, your branding, a client funnel. How do you pitch yourself? What do you call yourself? All of it, all the way to market. And I work with you along the way. So it's a mentorship along the way. So it's really become a business incubator. That's what I tested last year. And we've done that course a number of times. And I have created a few online courses for people that don't have the time or they don't need all of that. Right. So I've taught some other courses, but now this year we're building out with global faculty. So I'm not going to teach all the classes. I don't want to, but we're going to build it out. And the difference is it's a business school where you're just being taught what you need to learn. You don't have to take all of the other classes for a big tuition. But I think the most unique thing is it's taught through a soulful lens, because we want you to be authentic. We want you to be purposeful. We want you to be collaborative. We want you to be unique. We're not teaching the same model to everybody. We're teaching it for you or whoever's listening, or to be unique in your own business. So there's a framework, but it's for you. If something doesn't feel good, we don't do it. Right? Now, you have to do things to have a business, right? So inspired action is a part of it. But the idea is that it's uniquely designed for the person taking the course. And then we have other people from all over that. The only way you can teach in our school is if you have mastered whatever you're teaching and you also have a business in the multi-six figures before you can teach it.
That's amazing.
You're not just book smart. It's not that I taught this in university. We make sure that you've done it and then you can bring it forward. And we do
and
it
there's so much value in that.
Yeah. And we do it as a shared revenue model because there's so many great teachers that weren't being paid well. And like me, they leave the profession, right? Because we can make more money in the real world. So
it's true.
Bringing those people back, because those are the best mentors there are. They've actually done it. Those are the people we want teaching. And it's important because I don't think people are really going to start to go to, or not start. I don't think people are going to continue to go to university at the levels that we've seen.
Yeah. Well, if you've got a purpose-driven business, you hopefully will be able to see what you need. I guess sometimes the things that you think you don't need can often be the things you do need, though. I mean, like, when you were saying, there's stuff that you don't have to do. There is always stuff you have to do in your business that you don't love. And we're never going to love all aspects of our business. But when those moments of discomfort, I'll use that word, when those moments of discomfort pop up, that's a real opportunity to really tune in and go, okay, noticing this, what's going on, like, any aspect of your business. I see that a lot with my clients. They're like, oh, I don't do that. And they've got some story that they've created to justify it, but it's actually quite important. And then we have to unpick that and work out what is actually going on. So agreed. I love that you've got experienced people, because someone who's read the books but hasn't walked the walk and doesn't have that real life experience isn't going to notice those things, are they probably going to go, oh, okay, sure, maybe you don't need that. Whereas if you've had that discomfort yourself, because we all have that discomfort at some point growing our business, we all have these moments, you can kind of go, look, I get it. I've been there. Here's another way of looking at that. And I think that's what really appealed to me when you explained that your staff are all proven business people. I mean, in my journey building my previous business, I had such fun and such a privilege to work with some amazing entrepreneurs over in Boston at Mass Challenge, like the former marketing director of L'Oreal working on my website with me. What? And you just can't get that from a book, that's like life.
Right.
That's important. And so I love that.
A lot of business books, although I read them all the time and love them, they're written in masculine energy, and they're also written for people that have staff. Like a lot of people
Yes, yes,
looking for
yes,
them.
yes.
And right, so in my mastermind, we read books, but we also break it down for what is actually possible as a solo entrepreneur. Because most of these people that I work with are solo entrepreneurs, right? I do work with
Yeah,
them
yeah.
to scale later on, but we also want to keep the same, and we want to scale with the same energy we built with.
Which is so
Right.
hard. That was my biggest
very
challenge at this
hard.
scale. And like that's why I said at the beginning, if I'd have met someone like yourself, go, what are you doing, love? I know you've met that person that told you to do this and you think they're really wise. But you also have wisdom within you. And you have this business is landed with you for a reason. Have you remembered what that is? And are these choices that you're making in alignment with that? Like I haven't found a book on that. Is that what your book is about? Maybe I need to read your book.
Yeah, I have it's a trilogy, and it starts with creating a soul-aligned business. Like, how do we even go
Yep.
through that process? What are we
Yeah,
thinking?
okay.
What do we want? What are our non-negotiables? The second one is about scaling, right?
Yeah, great.
It's called Becoming a Soul Professional. It's about scaling. And the third one's called Leaving Your Legacy. It's about you're leaving a legacy no matter what, so let's make it with intention. How many people
Yeah,
do you want to
beautiful.
touch with your business, and how do you want, when you leave this earth, how do you want to be known?
Oh, I love that. Well, we definitely need to put the links to those below the
Yeah.
video as well. I love it. And I need to read some of those. That's awesome. So let's talk about bridging this gap between the strategy and the soul, because that's my favorite thing, like
Mm.
gut intuition versus the books and the 8-step there's always an 8-step formula, or there's always a thing that promises the world or the moon on the stick, those things versus like, all right, well, what does that mean for me? How do you help someone navigate that tension between, yeah, but I got to do this. I got to show up on Instagram every day and I got to make a reel 3 times a week because they said so. And that guy said so. And that book says this, between what feels aligned. Like what we need this permission piece. So I want you to talk to that.
Yeah. So I tell people, I think it's really changing right now with AI. And I think that's really
Okay.
important to talk about, because so many people are doing so many things because of AI, and they're just throwing stuff up there. Oh, this is great. It'll make my posts. It'll do this. It'll write my blogs. But what has happened is now there's so much noise and everyone is out there doing it that it's not authentic, and it shows. So I would say stop doing that, and you're better off making 1 or 2 posts that are really genuine, or really telling a story, or really showing a transformation that you took your client through. Maybe make it longer or easier or something, or go back to email. Like, you have to stop competing with all the noise out there. Like, someone actually wrote me today and they're like, this was such a great article that you wrote. I can do a carousel. And I said, that's great. I appreciate that. I have a staff, but that's not where I spend my time anymore. Like, I don't care if it's a pretty carousel. I really don't. You know why? Because I don't look at anyone else's. So I think it's really important to know that you are selling to you. I don't do Instagram. There's no point in me going on Instagram because I don't do Instagram. I am addicted to TikTok, so I do go on TikTok, right? I spend all of my time on LinkedIn, so that's where I focus all of our marketing. I really don't do Facebook or anything else anymore, right? That's not what I like. That's not what I do. So if I'm not going to look at it, I wouldn't expect someone who's going to be my client to look at it either, right? So I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but I do not have a social media strategy.
Fair enough.
I know I do
It's
very
funny,
well
isn't
on
it?
video and my voice, and that's what I concentrate on.
I love this idea that you're going to tune into your energy and what you're feeling. And like I said earlier, like only say something if it feels right. Obviously, you can't, if you're burning out and the reason you're not getting any divine inspiration is because you need to rest and you're, like you were saying, keep going and going, get a bit frantic. Like you have to tune into those moments where, do you know what? It's been a few weeks and I've had nothing good to say. That's interesting. Like it shouldn't go that far, like,
Yeah.
but like this incessant need to just be there. And like some weeks, if you look at my TikTok and Instagram, I have all these amazing ideas, like from standing in the back garden with my husband with a hose pipe at me, demonstrating how messaging can hurt you one week with a water pistol. And then last week, I just had a nice cup of tea on TikTok. I wasn't really feeling quite so playful. Like that happens, and that's normal. That's fine. And people get
It's
to know
also
me that way.
genuine, but it's also
Yes,
genuine,
absolutely.
right? Because you're not acting, you're just being, and you feel like being playful, you're playful. If you feel like just, being easygoing one day, then you're easygoing. And that shows more about your personality and your authenticity than someone who's showing up and playing a role to be there,
And it's
right?
And people who work with me know that I am not the person who rocks up in the fancy suit and is very serious. That's exhausting. I cannot be that person without a lot of work. I've tried.
Yeah.
So I am fun. There is a chance that if you're not getting it and I'm feeling playful, we're going to get the hose pipe out and we'll have a metaphor until you get it. Like that could happen.
Yeah.
That's who I am. And I attract my clients are like you're saying, my clients love that energy. They love that hands-on learning. They love the silliness helps them to resonate, helps them remember, helps them relight their joy in their work. So absolutely. I love it. I love that you and I have got very similar ideas about this. I love it.
Yeah. That's authentic, and that's authentic marketing. And I think that's what we're talking about, right? It's because it's truly who you are and people are resonating with you and your personality. It's just like I can't be extrovert. I can't pretend that I'm extroverted. I'm really not. Right? I'm never going to have this huge community like on Facebook and post 3 times a day and tell people all about my life and what I'm doing. It's just not who I am. And I would have to work so hard at doing it.
Yeah, and that's when you burn out, right? And then you lose that divine inspiration because all your energy's going into being this person you think you should be.
Yeah,
when you are enough as you are. You are exactly who you are meant to be to resonate with a person who needs you. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I love that. And that is the bridge, isn't it? It's that peace, that inner self-love, that knowing that, trusting that, you are the person that they need. And the more you hide behind what you think you should be, they can't find you. They can't see you, which is why that message just sort of like Batfink. Do you remember Batfink with his wings of steel? Like everything bounces off and doesn't go anywhere. Oh, I love that. Okay, so you work with a lot of people who are working in very highly structured, high achieving careers, earning lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
And there are people out there who think it's playing in that space of authenticity and being in that role don't mix. Like you can't be spiritually woo. And we've seen many, many, many people bust that myth. Like many people I follow, like, I don't know, James Wedmore, Gabrielle Bernstein, all those people come to mind, Catherine Zenkina, all those wonderful souls who are 127% fully spiritual and doing their thing and attracting all the right people. But what do you think draws these high achievers in these more traditional roles, like you mentioned, doctors and those kind of service providers into your programs, do you think? And what is it that surprises them the most as they work with you? I'm really curious about that. Like, what do they realize as they work through it?
So most people are introduced to me. Like I don't go hunting for them. Most people, 100% of my business is word of mouth, and most people are introduced to me. So I find them somehow, and we have a conversation, or they hear about me, or they hear me on a podcast, they see me on YouTube, something like that. I'm talking in a conference that they're at, something like that.
Yeah.
And usually the reaction is they come talk to me afterwards, or they read my book and they send me a message on LinkedIn, or it's usually kind of almost in secrecy, like, oh my God, that's me, but I don't tell anyone. And I was like, I get it. That's who I attract because that's who I am, right?
Yeah, okay.
I'm science and soul. I am these two worlds. I'm very logically brained, very highly educated. And I talk to spirit every day, right? So I'm like I'm very intuitive. So it's really interesting how many people go, oh my gosh, I didn't know there were people like me out there, right? And that's how I felt. So I get it, right? So that's really the aha, or that beautiful moment when they go, oh my gosh, he's talking to me. Like, that's me.
They feel seen. They probably just feel seen
and heard. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's other people like me. And then that usually curates into something beautiful, right? I think you asked about, like, what are their biggest what I call limiting beliefs, right? Is that they can't be paid well doing whatever, fill in the blank, right? No matter what it is. I can't make my salary that I make now doing XYZ. And that is such a limiting belief, but yes, you can. We can prove it. Like I've done
Yeah,
it
yeah.
with so many people that always think we can't do it. And lots of times we have to create exit plans for where they are, right? They have to bring something down to bring something back up so they're not losing
Mm-hmm.
income,
Yeah.
but that it's possible. Like it really
Yeah, yeah.
is possible. It's our limiting beliefs about ourselves and others that we can't do something or you can't make money doing that. People make money doing the craziest things in the world, right?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast
So,
did pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's such a limiting belief to think that they can't do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I understand there is a lot of fear, though. There is a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
fear,
of course.
right? So we do work through that.
Anytime you go through that transition from one sense of self to another,
Yes.
it is scary because you do have to kind of rebirth again and again and
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand what you're saying there, and also what you were saying about this assumption that I can't make money doing this thing. I think that comes from me personally. That would come from years of you have to go to uni, you have to get this degree. When you've got this degree, you get this job, and then you buy this house, and then when you get that house, you get this promotion. And the whole of my life was kind of mapped out by these milestones in societal norms, which I have
Yeah.
broken many, many times. Like I emigrated to this side of the world and I did all sorts of crazy things my parents did not train me to do. It's funny, isn't the conditioning?
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. We're breaking societal norms, but we're breaking them in all facets of life, especially older women.
Mm.
Women over 50, more than anything, are really breaking societal norms. Like they were never supposed to be a lot of things that we are being, right? So that is the majority of my clients. And it used to be like that 48 to 62. But now I have 30-year-olds in my programs. They're just going like,
Nice.
yeah, I'm not
Good.
even doing that. Right. And it's really cool. Like a lot of creatives that are like, we're not working for a corporate. They're not even doing that route. Right. So that's how I know that the future is this micro entrepreneurship. Right.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
future
I love
is
that.
purpose driven and soul led. And that's why I feel that we need that professional organization, which is the soul professional movement. Right. We do
Yeah.
need a unification of people that are doing good work in the world. And we have the same core values, because that's where
Yeah.
we give credibility to these businesses. And we're saying,
Yeah.
you're a soul professional, then I believe in what you're doing and I understand your core values and I would like to do work with you. Right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that
absolutely.
blending of it. Yeah.
And the more we see people doing that, stepping up into that, being successful in that, the more that challenges that programming that we've got. The more evidence our brain sees that we can go beyond the survival mode and into this thriving sort of position, which is, what we all want in our life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I always say it's great to write down what you want and what you don't want. Like 2 columns on a piece of paper. And it's very important to always use a pen because you think differently. On a piece of paper, just put, line down the center and write like what I want, what I don't want. So you can start to create from there and don't stack your dreams. So if you, want to work 4 days a week or take 5 days off, whatever that looks like for you, right? When I designed my business, I came out of the not-for-profit world, so I knew I did not want a board. Was purposely did not create a not-for-profit, which a lot of people are like, why didn't you create a not-for-profit? I was like, because I was a not-for-profit executive, and I can tell you horror stories. This is why I didn't. And I was like, but I wanted a very purpose-driven business and have goals of what you want to achieve. Like that is really important. Assess for yourself. What skills do you really, really have? A lot of, especially women, but a lot of people that have been doing jobs for decades don't look at that as a skill because they're so used to it's just naturally who they are. And it's like any gift that we have, right? Even if you're a psychic or a medium or read Akashic records, that is a gift that is worth money. just, just like
Absolutely.
any other gift, just like if you were a CPA or a lawyer or a brain surgeon, like our gifts are our assets when it comes to business. It is our uniqueness. So I would say the first thing is just to write down, what do you want? What does your dream look like? And then what do you absolutely don't want? It could be, I don't want to, work in person. I don't want to work on weekends. I want to always be available for my kid's basketball game. Whatever that looks like. And those should become your non-negotiables, right? You have
boundary.
have to set boundaries around yourself and your expectations first, and you have to do it, like live it.
Stick to the boundaries. That could be hard for some of us.
Stick to your boundaries.
But they need me. No. You don't want that, remember. That builds resentment, bad energy. Don't carry that. I know.
Yeah. It's very important that when you're an entrepreneur that you actually work. A lot of people are like, I'm an entrepreneur, I can do whatever I want. It was like, you actually have to show up and work. You have to show up. You have to keep a schedule because it's hard. It is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard enough, but showing up every day, like I always tell everyone, shower, get dressed, show up. Like this is an office. It's in my house, but I come to work dressed every day. I have hours that I start and hours that I stop. When I'm done with work, I turn off the light. I go back to my bedroom, which is across the hallway. And then I put up my hair, put on my sweatpants, because then I'm home from work.
Yeah. That routine is really important, whatever that looks like for you. But yeah, like those boundaries and that routine, particularly if you're a solopreneur working from home. And like you were saying, like really tuning into what you need. And I find it interesting you say people, I can do whatever I want. I think I've done at the beginning of every business, I have worked way more hours than I used to as a teacher. And I used to whinge about how many hours. I'm like, try starting a business, love. Oh, and it's hard. And that is even more reason to get really connected to the soul purpose, because you have to have that fire. You have to have that why to keep going until you've built the machine and you're able to take a break from it and it carries on. It's like a baby to a toddler to that teenage years where it's kind of doing its own thing, but you're a bit worried about what it's up to while you're not looking. And eventually, it becomes a grown up, and then you can scale it and it keeps growing. I think it's really important to understand that there are phases in this relationship with your business, but boundaries are so important. Definitely. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So looking ahead then to this soul professional movement, you've got all these beautiful countries joining in. We've got, how many people have you got in the movement? We know how many countries. Do you know how many people you've got in the movement?
It's a lot. It's a couple thousand already.
Yeah, nice. And you haven't done this for long. This is quite new. This is awesome. Couple of thousand. Love that. So what is next? What's going to be the next evolution, either for the movement or soul business? What do you reckon?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of speaking right now, just trying to get the word out there that we exist and awareness. That's really important. I am speaking to a lot of corporate women. Doesn't have to be women, but that happens to be and I'm talking a lot on what I call corporate to calling, right? Of what does that next chapter in your life look like? Right? Because a lot of people are stepping down. No, it could be anybody. So that's a big part of it. Working on the school and building that out is a big part of it. And of course, the soul professional movement. I'm working with leaders from all over in all different countries, and we're having conversations about what is next. What are we doing with all of these people now that we have them signing pledges? And we do a lot of free work, but trying to find out what else do they need to be supported. Right. So something bigger will come out of that. Of course, we're building out a directory. We're building out the school. We already have free networking and free business classes. So that'll all be built out. And honestly, I don't know all of the answers because I feel like I'll figure it out.
I love that. I just want to celebrate you and all the beautiful work you've done there. The energy behind it is just, I can feel it. I keep getting shivers. I just really wanted to share this story with everyone out there who's listening to the Inner Business podcast and really encourage you to go check out Camille's website, check out all the offerings, because she's working with people at all different stages, right? So if you're listening
Yeah.
to this thing, oh, well, I don't earn $1 million. That's fine. That's good. If you don't earn 10 million, that's good. Go still connect. Go and join this movement. Go find your people, because we're here. We're there. We're listening. And like Camille said, this is about collaboration and nurturing. And solopreneurship can be quite lonely. So the more collaboration and nurturing you can gather, bring them in. Big hugs, energetic hugs. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing there in this space. Genuinely, it's awesome and it's very inspiring. I love it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show today and being able to express it too.
No, it's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure to just amplify that, just put it out there. I'll be part of that. I can do that for you. We do that together. So thank you so much for your time. And check out the links below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or head over to selinawoodward.com/podcast to find the show notes. If you listen to any of the podcasting platforms, you'll find the link to all Camille's work over on our show notes at selinawoodward.com/podcast. Thank you again, Camille. This has been an absolute joy.
Thank you, Selina.